Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another PFL fight prediction video. In this video, I'll be predicting the full card of fights for PFL Charlotte Battle versus Rosta. So without further ado, let's get to our first fight on the card. We scroll on down. Again, it's a little bit slower today for whatever reason. Let's scroll on faster. First fight we have in the welterweight division, we got Trey Waters versus Truck-On Carson. And how do I feel about this one right here? Is I'll go low confidence Trey Waters to beat Truck-On Carson. I'll say this goes the distance. Carson is tough, but I think Trey Waters is a sharper fighter. They're both primarily strikers. I think Trey Waters will be able to address any grappling, have a primarily striking battle here with Truck-On Carson, and Truck-On Carson won't be, too much against that. But I think Trey Waters will be able to use his length and his better striking technique to pick apart Carson from distance. But again, competitive fight, close fight, but Trey Waters, probably been in land about 7-10 more significant strikes. Again, probably about seven significant strikes more. Competitive fight, but Trey Waters, clearly edging the fight. Competitive, but clear for Trey Waters after 15 minutes. Using his distance. I say using his, what was that? I made the word depth. What is depth? Using his length, using his distance, longer range of striking, better technique to beat Truck-On Carson by decision here. So, in this one, I got Trey Waters via decision. Now, for the next fight we have in the heavyweight division, we got Eduardo Neves versus Maxwell DeJounte Nana. And how do I feel about this one right here? Is I'll go low confidence Eduardo Neves to beat Maxwell DeJounte Nana. Some of these things I definitely dislike about Neves. Losing twice on a contender series, that's not a good look. DeJounte Nana beating Carl Williams, who at one point I thought was a better heavyweight than he is, or showed up to be, or proved to be. So he got a couple things I like, got a couple things I dislike. But ultimately, rewatching that fight, I was not that impressed with Maxwell DeJounte Nana's performance. I just feel like, again, another performance where Williams just did not really compete as much. And Nana was able to win just by doing a little bit more. Eduardo Neves is young. And also, I don't think Nana's striking is all that clean. It don't really take that much to put Neves out. His chin is questionable when it is heavyweight. So that's definitely a thing. That's my confidence ain't high. Average is low. But Neves does fight at a higher pace. I do think he's the better submission grappler here. It's not like Nana's a particularly great offensive takedown guy, to be honest. So I think Neves, this fight should primarily play on the feet. I think Neves has the better gas tank. He's the younger guy. He'll be able to push a better pace. He'll push the better pace, maintain a better pace, throw at a higher clip, land at a higher clip. Nana probably looking for big shots at times, but ultimately I think it's going to be a fight with a young guy for bells. I think Neves like 25, 26. And again, the contender series lost when he was like 22 and 23, so he's still young at 26. So I think he's had some improvement from those losses. Still, I don't think he's UFC level. Maybe give him 2 more years. Maybe after this performance, a couple other performances, maybe he'll be able to go for the UFC. Maybe he'll be able to be brought in on short notice. But yeah, either way, I think he's good enough to be able to beat Nana. I think he'll be able to outwork him. And I'll say decision. I think it'll be a competitive scrap. Maybe even throw around TKO, but I'll say decision. I think he's just going to outwork Nana. I think he's going to be looking for the finish. It might struggle a little early, but the fight's going to get better for him as it goes on. I think Nana's going to start to slow down, not be able to pick a pace. And we have seen Nana literally quit a fight because he can last. Like I say, he can't deal with high pace, he can't deal with high pressure, and that showed in that one fight. Neves, been stopped, but it was never the case. Oh, he lost the fight him or he pretty much quit. Like no, he's been put out. Like he'll fight for your dollar, he'll fight for his dollar. He'll fight. I say he might not be that good or has not shown to be that good, like UFC level, but he has shown that he's a fighter and that he'll scrap and there's no quitting him. So. At least from what I've seen. So he'll be able to push, outwork Nana, beat him by decision. So in this one, I have Eduardo Nana, combine the names. I have Eduardo Neves via decision. Now for the next fight, we have in the lightweight division, we got Jonathan Martin versus Wilson Lopshire. And how do I feel about this one right here? Is I'll go low confidence Jonathan Martin to beat Wilson Lopshire. I look at Lopshire. I don't see nothing impressive about him. Got a little wrestling background. But I feel like in all skill sets, I feel like Martin is better. He got some losses, but he's tested himself. I feel like Lopshire has not tested himself in a pro level yet. Martin has tested himself against some decent prospects, some decent fighters outside the UFC. Not saying like, he beat some guys that could be in the UFC. I don't think Martin has done that. But, he beat some decent, solid, real pros is what I'm going to say. He beat some real solid pros. But I feel like Lopshire has, he's been on the tutorial circuit. Like, give me the easiest guy I could beat. Give me the stylistic matchups. That's what he's doing. Martin has tested himself. Like, he has lost fights, but because of that, but he has tested himself. Like, will he ever really be UFC level? Probably not. Maybe he'll be brought into UFC on short notice and maybe hold a good account for himself. Maybe get a UFC spot in that way, or probably get no short notice and get stopped. But either way, solid guy. I think he could definitely give some UFC guys some work before he gets finished. Lopshire in the UFC, like a first round stoppage. Martin, like he maybe could send some guys, some good guys, some lower tier lightweight. Well, yeah, lower tier lightweights to like a second round, maybe even decision. Lopshire like a first round knockout for anyone that's in the UFC, or a first round submission for anyone in the UFC. Like Martin's longer, he's taller. I think he's a sharper striker. I think he's the more technical grappler here. Lopshire might be the better wrestler, but not much of that. Yeah, I think Martin's experience will be too much here for Lopshire, and I think his skills are just too fleshed out. I don't really see nothing particularly special about Lopshire. I think Martin should be to win the strike and win the grappling, break him down, and find a sub in the second round. So in this one, I have Jonathan Martin via second round submission. Now the next fight we have in the lightweight division, well, light heavyweight division, we got Valentin Moldavsky versus Bruno Cappelozza. And how do I feel about this one right here is I'll go average confidence Valentin Moldavsky to beat Bruno Cappelozza. So yeah, Moldavsky has definitely fallen way short of his prospects, but still has had a pretty good career, has fought some pretty decent guys, and has held some wins with some pretty decent guys, and fought some, I'm not going to say decent solid. He's really full legit solid guy, like for Bader and Bader's prime and stuff. Had a real good fight with him. What did he beat? He beat the guy that ran through, what's his name? That's in the UFC right now, and a former PFL champion. But he also lost to... Did he lose to Lyndon Bazell like twice? So yeah, he has a weird career. And Cappelozza is a smaller light heavyweight. Matter of fact, this is interesting. Moldavsky's a former heavyweight. He's fighting light heavyweight. Cappelozza, they both had fought at heavyweight before. Moldavsky has spent the majority of his career at heavyweight. Cappelozza, kind of half and half. But either way, Cappelozza is 37 years old. Hasn't really fought much in recent years. And again, up there in age, that's not a really good thing. And his last fight, he fought a tomato can. So we don't know where his mind's at. He probably trying to collect some big check, a couple big checks before, or as many checks as big as he can before he fully retires or checks out of it. And Moldavsky's been active. Hasn't been the most impressive, but he's been active. And he's the bigger, better overall guy. And Cappelozza's pretty much kind of just a striker. Not too much, his grappling not too much of a worry for Moldavsky. His size definitely not too much for Moldavsky. Cappelozza's not really one of the more stronger guys. He's not one of the bigger guys. He does got power on the feet. He is well rounded enough. I think Moldavsky, again, be the bigger, better grappler here. Should be able to control the grappling. Striking should be the better striker as well. Just got to really avoid the big shots. But Cappelozza will have slowed down, been like 37, 38 now, and not that active. In his last fight, he got a walkover fight. So Moldavsky's going to be much sharper and should be able to run over Cappelozza. I think he mixes up, gets him to the ground, finishes him on the ground. Second round TKO for Valentin Moldavsky. So in this one, I have Valentin Moldavsky via second round TKO. Now the next fight we have in the lightweight division, we got Michael Boylan versus Laundry Ward. And how do I feel about this one right here is I'll go low confidence Laundry Ward to beat Michael Boylan, or however his name is. Yeah, Laundry Ward is like the more filled out fighter. Like another Michael Boylan is like another wrestler without a fleshed out skill set. Got pampered treatment and now stepping up. Laundry Ward, a guy that has, again, definitely probably not UFC level, but neither is Boylan. But Ward has at least tested himself as much as he could outside the UFC. And even the UFC, did he fight this guy? Did he fight the guy? I mean, you got to make it to those levels. He's kind of like a journeyman level PFL level fighter, or journeyman level regional fighter, or however you want to say it. Or maybe I'm saying it wrong, but either way, these guys both kind of have lower ceilings. But Michael Boylan has not even looked to test his ceilings or really work it right. Like he kind of jumping from, I guess he feel like he's good because he beat some 4 scrubs or whatever. Now he kind of jumped this guy. Oh, this guy is not that good, but nah. Laundry Ward just seemed like a much more fleshed out fighter. I think he should be able to dress the grab. I don't think Boylan's wrestling's all that good. I think Ward is a much more fleshed out fighter. Will be the much sharper striker. I think he'll be able to extend Boylan to the third round and stop him in the third round via TKO. Ward is just a much sharper striker, and he looks like a real fighter. Boylan looks like a guy that's just still on the trial phase, like a wrestler, a semi-decent wrestler, not even a phenomenal wrestler, like a semi-decent wrestler, that still is on their trial phase at their gym. Like they haven't really even became a real MMA fighter yet. But he's able to get by because they give him tomato cans. Whereas Ward has seen the ugly, seen the good, and he has tested himself and has shown to be at a pretty decent level in May where I would say this guy's a real fighter, where I feel like Boylan's still coming off that trial phase, or still, jump from the trial into the fire. And I think Ward's going to show him the fire, extend him, final shots, and stop him in the third round. So in this one, I got Londre Ward via third round TKO. Now to the next fight we have in the women's flyweight division. We got Cheyenne Bowers versus Elora Donna. And how do I feel about this one right here is I'll go low confidence Cheyenne Bowers to beat Elora Donna. So low confidence Cheyenne Bowers to beat Elora Donna. Elora Donna definitely the more lethal fighter of the two. I think on the feet and on the ground. But I think Bowers is the more consistent. I don't like the fact that Bowers is, I like the fact that Bowers is aggressive, and I also don't like the fact that she's aggressive. Because Donna does have dynamite in her hands. So she can definitely catch you. And she has been in fights where, she looked kind of questionable, and then she landed that dynamite whole fight changed, or the fight ended in her favor. And Bowers is very aggressive. But, I do like, typically in fights like that, I do like the more consistent fighter. It's not like Bowers is a fighter that's so chinny or has quit in her. So I can see Bowers getting clipped, but I'm gonna go with a fighter who would trend to be more likely to be more consistent in fight, and that's Bauer. Like she might get clipped, that worst case scenario, but I think she can battle through that, come back and just get more intense, push the pace on the feet and on the ground, and just wear down to a decision. Just outwork her, outpace her. Be the more technical, more sharp fighter overall. Be the better put together fighter. Like again, Donna might be more lethal, but Bowers is much more put together and much more consistent. And I think her consistency will prevail over Donna's dynamite. So in this one, I got Cheyenne Bowers via decision. Now to the next fight we have in the featherweight division, we got Shaden Leialoha versus Robbie Ring. And how do I feel about this one right here? Is I'll go low confidence Shaden Leialoha to beat Robbie Ring. I just feel like Shaden Leialoha is the more proven fighter, more test fighter. Just came off a very competitive fight with a former, I believe that guy was a former PFL champion, but don't quote me on that. But again, he's fighting the highest level guys in PFL. Robbie Ring has not really, Robbie Ring has not, I'm not going to say hasn't quite did that. He has not at all fought the elite guys of any rank. He ain't fought no elite Risen guys. He ain't fought no elite 1FC guys. Ain't fought no elite UFC guys. And has not fought elite PFL guys. Shaden Leialoha has tested himself against elite PFL guys. The very creme de la creme of PFL. I'm not saying he fought every single one of them, but he fought a couple of them. And he's more than held his own with them. And had some wins over some decent guys in the PFL. And at a decent level. With Robbie Ring, he was an overrated prospect on the contender series. He got stopped. Leialoha's grappling looks pretty solid. I think he can address the grappling of Ring. And I think he's a much sharper striker than Ring. And I'll say he stops him in the second round, late in the second round via TKO. So in this one, I got Shaden Leialoha via second round TKO. Now to our next fight. We got a lot of fights on the card. But now to our next fight. We have in the heavyweight division, we got Denis Goltsov versus Hassan Mezhiev. And how do I feel about this one right here? Is I'll go average confidence Denis Goltsov to beat Hassan Mezhiev. Mezhiev seemed like a decent fighter, but yet again, another guy who has not tested himself. A lot of wins against, this guy did fight in the UFC. I beat. He fought in the UFC like 10 years ago and he went like 1-3. Maybe if you beat him when he just got cut from the UFC, maybe he went on 2-fight win streak after losing to the UFC. Maybe he won like a 2 or 3 fight 2 or 3 fight win streak after leaving the UFC. And he started resurged, and then you beat him. But you beat this guy like well after the UFC stopped checking for him. Like the guy had already lost in the UFC and several times outside the UFC. What does that mean? And that guy was like a former light heavyweight. So like that's like your most accredited win. So a guy that has not tested himself. Denis Goltsov is a guy who literally just not too long ago won the PFL tournament at heavyweight. He's looking better than he's ever looked. So this is about the worst time to get Denis Goltsov. I give Mezhiev his respect, but Goltsov might go out there looking like a lock, to be honest. He really probably should be a lock here. But Mezhiev, still a guy that has any loss, so you can't really rate too much against him. You can rate the lack of competition. You can't say, he lost his fight because of this or that. Like, he's still undefeated. But Goltsov, the much better, much more accomplished fighter. I think he should be winning the striking and the grappling. I'll say he'll finish him on the feet. I'm going to say late first round TKO for Denis Goltsov. So in this one, I have Denis Goltsov. I did it wrong. Denis Goltsov via first round TKO. Now for the next fight, we have in the middleweight division. Middleweight division, we got Josh Fremd versus Johnny Gregory. And how do I feel about this one right here? Is I'll go low confidence Josh Fremd to beat Johnny Gregory. So I can't act like Fremd is this guy's in the UFC, he was a stud, he was this, it's a lot, this guy's a bum. I don't feel like Gregory's all that bad. He's a solid fighter. Does he have a high ceiling? No, not at all. Does Fremd have a high ceiling? Not at all. So, but Fremd has definitely fought better competition. He definitely has shown a clear path to his losing. I don't feel like Gregory really fits that path. And definitely not at the skill level that Fremd has lost to. But, you know, Gregory's live enough, so I can't be like, oh, this guy just don't belong in here. He does belong in here with Fremd. But I do think Fremd is a better fighter. Gregory has been stopped, like, getting TKO'd in all, like, 4 of his 5 losses. Fremd does have solid power. He does have solid strength. He does have solid grappling. I feel where he has struggled a lot has been in the grappling department against wrestlers, and Gregory is not really a grappler to that level or extent, especially not particularly a wrestler. So, yeah, I think Fremd's a better striker. It's not like Fremd has really shown to be chinny. I can recall Fremd getting TKO. I think he got caught in like a standing guillotine. I think that was him. He got standing guillotine. That happened to him. His other loss, I think, as far as the UFC had been kind of him getting wrestled up or grappled up. And yeah, I think Fremd is the better wrestler here, so that shouldn't be the big issue here. I think he's a sharper striker, and I think he should be able to find the chin of Gregory. And I think he stops him in the first round. So in this one, I got Josh Fremd via first round TKO. Now, the next fight we have in the bantamweight division, we got Lewis McGrillen versus Brandon Lewis. And how do I feel about this one right here? Is I'll go low confidence Lewis McGrillen to beat Brandon Lewis. Yeah, I think these are two solid fighters. But I think McGrillen just better overall and more tested, more proven. Coming off a loss, but I think he's hungry. He's gonna make the right bounce back, make the right adjustments. And I think, I think he could address everything Lewis brings here and just present at a higher level. And I think he beats Brandon Lewis by decision. So I think that loss will actually help him. It's gonna reignite his fire. Gonna learn from it, make adjustments, watch the tape, or have already watched the tape, come in, and address everything that Lewis brings and is presented at a higher level. Be out striking, be out grapple him, and I think he beats Lewis by decision. But Lewis is a game competitive fighter. It'd be a competitive fight, but McGrillen just, being a step ahead in this fight. So in this one, I have Lewis McGrillen via decision. Now the next fight we have in the middleweight division, we got Josh Silveira versus Aaron Jeffery. And how do I feel about this one right here? Is I'll go low confidence Aaron Jeffery to beat Josh Silveira. And I feel like they're kind of similar skills, similar talent level. But I think Aaron Jeffery just a little bit better everywhere, in my opinion. At least it's in specific to this fight. I think Jeffrey's a sharper striker here. I think he's quicker. I think he pushes a better pace. And I think he's scrappier than Silveira. And it's not like Silveira is some particularly offensive, like so great on offense with his wrestling. I think Jeffery should be able to address that. Again, I really feel like Jeffery should be able to beat him everywhere. I think it's a competitive fight. Again, they're both well-rounded guys. They're both well-trained. They both got good coaching staff. And with all, both have, as far as, not really being, truly elite outside of UFC. Well, they're elite guys outside of UFC. So I can say that, but I'm not saying, they're not, world champion. These guys should be PFL champion level. They're definitely worthy to fight for those belts. But as far as winning them, I don't think they're... they both have fought for belts. I think Jeffrey has fought for a Bellator belt in the past. And Silveira has fought for the PFL belt, I think, at least twice. Or at least once. I'm not going to say twice, at least once. I'm pretty sure he did twice. By the way, they're below, but they're not of the level where they will be... Well, I'm not happy too much. By the way, relatively even skill sets. Relatively well-rounded. I just think Jeffrey, in my opinion, just a little bit sharper, a little bit better everywhere. And has a little bit higher ceiling. I think he'll be able to push, outwork Silveira, land the better shots, win the scrambles, and be able to beat Silveira by decision here. So, in this one, I have Aaron Jeffery via decision. Now, the next fight, we have in our co-main event in the light heavyweight division. We got Double-Zan Yagshimuradov versus Simeon Powell. And how do I feel about this one right here? Is I'll go low confidence Simeon Powell to beat Double-Zan Yagshimuradov. So they kind of cut off some of his name, but I know his full name, Double-Zan Yagshimuradov. So I'm saying it should just be Double Yagshimuradov, but it's really Double-Zan Yagshimuradov. But anyway, I'll go Simeon Powell here, low confidence. I think he'll be the longer, lengthier, younger fighter. Let's just double check that. 37 versus 27, so 10-year age advantage or youth advantage. 6'5", so he's much taller, much bigger. I could even see him clipping and putting Yagshimuradov out of there. But I see a close competitive fight, especially off Double-Zan Yagshimuradov style. He's very elusive, very quick in and out. But Simeon Powell gonna have that length, be able to catch him with shots. But kind of like a low-scoring point fight. But I think Simeon Powell's gonna land the heavier shots, and I could even see him clip Yagshimuradov at points in this fight, but not put him away. But that could be the stuff that shifts around and steals it for Simeon Powell, makes it clear for Simeon Powell. But close competitive rounds, not a whole lot of output, too much from either guy. But Simeon Powell being able to land the heavier shots, having a huge height and reach advantage, and length advantage here, and youth advantage here, and being able to prevail against the older Yagshimuradov, smaller Yagshimuradov, again, landing the shots, having the range, using to his advantage. Cappelozza or Yagshimuradov trying to close that range, catch him with shots. But again, competitive scrap, but Simeon Powell, youth, length, and size, been able to get him to win. So, and also his power, he does have a lot of power as well. So in this one, I have Simeon Powell via decision. Now to our main event, we have in the middleweight division, we got Bryan Battle versus Dalton Rosta. And how do I feel about this one right here is I'll go low confidence Bryan Battle to beat Dalton Rosta. And this is actually a style that's very familiar to Bryan Battle. He's for a lot of these strong, athletic wrestler guys that maybe don't have the best gas tanks. Like these glass cannons, you would call them, or whatever, if I'm using it right. Where they're very powerful, they look the part, they present the part, but they just don't got that grit in them or that gas in them. Like they come out strong, pushing, and Battle just rides the waves, lands little elbows, lands little knees, extends them, make them work for every single takedown, gets up, goes back to landing shots, extends them, then maybe submits them, maybe decisions them, maybe TKOs them. And that's kind of fight I kind of see here. And this is this is 3 rounds. I would say it was 5 rounds. It's a 3-round fight. So kind of gets better for Rosta, or gives him a better opportunity because he doesn't have to fight 2 extra rounds. But yeah, I just feel like Bryan Battle has dealt with his style. Rosta is dangerous at what he is, but we already seen that Dalton Rosta, though they might like him and have a gay crush on him or whatever. Like I feel like PFL heavily wanted this guy to be their champion at one point, but obviously he's not that good to be that. And he kind of tried to fake believe or sell a false narrative like I'll beat everybody at my gym. I'm this and that. I got UFC fighters and I'm dogging on them and stuff. But yeah, when time got there, they were able to give him like 1 robbery win. But yeah, I think he knows that they know that he's not that guy. He's gonna stick around. He's gonna try to believe he's Hercules, as his nickname implies, but he's not that. I think he'll come out to a fast start, try to land big shots. And Battle can be hittable, and that's a concern. That's why it's low confidence. But I think Battle will be able to weather the storm, do what Battle does, stay in the fight, land his own shots, and stop Rosta in the 3rd round via TKO like this. Ride the wave, does what he do what he does, stick in the fight, keep dealing damage, keep making Rosta work. Dig to his body, land sharp elbows, cut him. Make him feel like he's in the battle nonstop, and don't give him no breather. Let him work, make him work him, extend him, stop him in the 3rd round. But yeah, Rosta's solid talent, but I think Bryan Battle does, have a great history with this style and has a great record against the style. I think he'll add Rosta to that as well, and to be able to stop Rosta in the 3rd round. So in this one, I have Bryan Battle via 3rd round TKO. And so that concludes my fight predictions for the full card of fights for PFL Charlotte Battle versus Rosta. And as always, thanks for watching. Peace.